Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Drums and Drams. My name's Cameron, and today I've got a fresh bottle of Russell's Reserve 10-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey in front of me because for years and years I've said that this is one of the best $35 to $40 products on the market, especially when you consider the fact that it comes from a legacy distillery, and also when you factor in the price point and the profile and the age statement of this whiskey. I just think it represents an incredibly high value. I've recommended it not only to beginning whiskey drinkers, especially if they want to dip their toe into a little bit of an oakier profile, but also intermediate to advanced drinkers who might be looking for a solid daily sipper option in that $35 to $40 price range. For all of these cases, I've always said Russell's 10, Russell's 10, Russell's 10. But in this video, I'm gonna be kind of putting myself to the test here because what I realized is that the last bottle of Russell's 10 that I bought was probably 4 years ago. So as much as I love this whiskey, I just kind of nurse my bottle at home because as I go through these reviews for the channel and I buy the newest LE this and allocated that, I never drink Russell's 10 at home. I always drink it out at bars and things like that. And so I'm finding myself recommending this bottle after having not tasted a recent edition of it. And so I feel like maybe I'm steering people wrong at this point. Maybe there's been flavor drift between the batches over the years. For many of you out there, this is just gonna be a standard review of Russell's 10. And for some of you who I've recommended Russell's 10 to, this might be me putting my money where my mouth is, or putting my foot in my mouth, I guess, if I was wrong about it. Let's go to the nose now and see what we get. Here we go. All right, this whiskey smells absolutely delicious on the nose. I feel like it does smell how I remember it. It's so full of dark, rich, classic Kentucky notes, but also a little twist on those notes that show you what the standard wild turkey profile is all about, especially with 10 years of age on the product. So for me, I get a lot of dark cherry notes here. It's got this beautiful oaky backbone. And for me, this was one of the first whiskeys that demonstrated what an oaky profile was. This product and also Knob Creek 12-year bourbon really helped me learn what like funky oak was all about. So here you get that turkey funk that people talk about. And on Knob Creek 12, you get even more of kind of like a sour rickhouse funky oak on that side of things. That's kind of a classic Jim Beam thing. But I think for many of you out there, if you're a beginning whiskey drinker, you like your Buffalo Trace, maybe you like even Wild Turkey 101, some easier sipping products from Old Forester, like an Old Forester 86, this might be a little bit of a shock to you on your palate or on your nose because you do get this very intense, funky, almost sour oak profile. But I think it's a great way to learn how to smell and taste oak in a whiskey with this Russell's 10. All of these dark cherry notes are in here. This beautiful, leathery, funky oak. There's some vanilla in here as well, which is definitely a classic note, but one that I think really tends to come out on these higher aged products. It feels like a rich vanilla, not like a bright, artificial, kind of candied vanilla. So first impression on the nose is that this smells wonderful. Let's go back in for a little bit more. Yeah, and there's even a little bit of an antique note to this whiskey as well. It's got this kind of perfumed antique wood, almost kind of plummy quality to the whiskey that does remind me a little bit of like a dusty profile from the 1990s or the 1980s. And no, I'm not saying that this is the next old granddad, 114 from the 1980s or anything. But the fact that you even get a reminiscence of that kind of a profile here on the nose is really impressive, especially for an extremely available, affordable shelfer type product that you can find in just about any liquor store in the country. I think it's very impressive, and it's a testament to just how well Wild Turkey distillate ages. 10 plus years for this stuff, you start to get into this just extremely dense, rich, funky oak profile, and I do love that about it. Now, I do need to call out a few other notes in this whiskey, so let's talk about the spice profile now. This is not an extremely spicy whiskey by any means, so if you have Wild Turkey 101 in your mind, this is not that. That has a lot of cinnamon, a lot of intensity to it. This is round and sweet baking spice kind of notes, so think about like sweet cinnamon and nutmeg. Those are the kinds of things, brown sugar even, that you're gonna find in here on the nose. So it's round, it's rich, it's got dark fruits, aromatic spices, vanilla, a great balance of oak and leather with this little bit of an antique, what we call turkey funk. I still think on the nose, this is an absolutely insane value for a shelfer 10-year whiskey from Wild Turkey. Let's go to the palate now, cheers. Yeah, so this is absolutely delicious on the palate. It is so crushable. I mean, at 90 proof, it's not a huge development by any means, but it does feel pretty darn enveloping. It's very flavorful. It's mouth-watering, a little bit of like this tannic structure to it from, you know, being in the barrel for 10 years. It kind of grips your palate a little bit. It's very sweet up front, but then a little bit of this tannic grip as it gets into the finish. It's what I refer to as kind of like a sour oak sensation on the palate. But by and large, it just tastes so freaking good that you could do some serious damage on a bottle if you're not thinking about it. Now, with that said, it's not the most complex whiskey in the world, right? I think bringing it down to 90 proof and simplifying it a bit means that it's something that you sip, you think about for a second, but then you just go back and continue to sip it, as opposed to, you know, having a sip and sitting there and pondering life for, you know, 30 or 45 seconds or whatever. So while it is simplistic, I think for 35 to 40 bucks, you don't expect a perfect whiskey. And this is certainly not a perfect whiskey, but what it is extremely delicious. It represents such a range of flavors in the profile, from these kind of brighter vanillas all the way down to these dark fruits and this intense oak, that I think it's just so, not general, but it covers so many bases, is what I'm trying to say, that I think it's going to appeal to a wide variety of drinkers. I think Buffalo Trace lovers would find something in here that they enjoy, especially those dark fruit notes. I think Old Forester lovers are going to find some stuff in here that they're going to enjoy as well. And I think, you know, people coming over from Heaven Hill will find a lot of those same classic notes with just a little bit of a different twist in this Russell's 10. If you don't like this, I think that's because maybe you're a rye drinker, or you like a little more spice or something with some more proof on it. But as a daily sipper option, I don't think you can beat a Russell's 10 year. I'm gonna stand by what I've been saying over the years. I think this is absolutely incredible stuff. It doesn't take, you know, 4, 5, 6 sips for me to figure this out in this video. I think it's kind of like a one and done type thing. So Russell's 10 year, 35 to 40 bucks. You should absolutely have one on your shelf. If you don't like it, let me know in the comments section. If you do like it, you should let me know that as well. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check out the Patreon if you want to help support and get in on some barrel picks and exclusive content. Cheers, and I'll see you guys soon here on Drums and Drams.